of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Happy Sunday. Welcome to episode 284. Welcome to the creator and welcome to the Cine-Men movie podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan, and I'm joined by the cast, the crew, the fellas, Zach.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Ed.
Hey, what's up, folks?
And welcome to Podcast Land, everybody, Jay.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Good. Happy Sunday. Everybody have a good week?
It was all right.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, and pretty good. I think this is going to be a fun episode, guys. If you guys have not joined us for any episodes before in the past, thank you for watching on Facebook Live, as well as Imisawa Productions YouTube channel. There you can find all different kinds of podcasts, Friday the 14th podcast, Wrestling Tacos, and we as well are on this YouTube channel, so thank you everybody for joining us. Today we talk The Creator, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But for now, if you guys were not with us last week, me and Zach had a fun conversation on Super Bowl Sunday about past lives. Zach, where can they find that episode, as well as where can they find our social media?
Yeah, you can check out our past episodes, whether it be past lives, Casablanca, anything we've done probably within the last year. Check it us on Spotify. I believe we're still on Apple Podcasts. If you want to get in touch with us, definitely check us out on Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Instagram, the Cine-Men / The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X, formerly known as Twitter, Cine-Men 405. And of course, don't forget to send in the lovely emails at CINMEN921@gmail.com.
Man, that red and green place looks familiar.
Yeah, you know what, you guys should if you're in Oklahoma City, if you guys are listening to this locally, go check out San Marcos. Me and Edward were there last night hitting it up.
And I can vouch for it as well. It's delicious.
Sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, God rest his soul, didn't Toby Keith love the place?
Apparently he did. He was actually put on their Facebook not long ago.
Exactly, saying one of our favorite customers passed. I've seen that.
Yep, his picture is right behind the register. You guys can go check him out at 2301 Southwest 59th Street right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Give them a call for takeout orders, 405-685-7773. Or you guys can also visit at oksanmarcos.com. Let them know that the Cinema Movie Podcast sent you and get 10% taken off your entire order. Great food, even better customer service. So go check them out. So, but yeah, last week, Past Lives, Zach, it was a fun movie, fun episode. This week, however, we are talking about The Creator. But before we talk about The Creator, guys, we finished the biggest football game of the year, the most watched TV shows / anything pretty much on TV.
205 million people.
That's insane.
All those Swifties.
Essentially, yeah.
That's all they tuned in for.
There was 55 million Swifties.
Yeah. Super Bowl commercials and Super Bowl movie trailers.
Did you guys have a game where anytime they showed Taylor Swift, you took a shot?
I didn't have enough money for that much alcohol.
No.
I had to go into work the next morning.
They were like, "All right, everybody, shot time." And every time she was on screen, we'd say shot, but trust me, we didn't say shot. We didn't do the shot because we'd be dead by now.
Yeah.
I'll say, I had to work the next morning. Oh god!
So those lovely teaser trailers. We didn't get a full trailer this year. We only got a 30-second trailer of each movie that was coming out this summer. Yeah, which is very odd. Usually they give them the full 2.5-minute spot, but I don't know how much a spot cost this year for a commercial.
$9 million for 30 seconds only.
Oh, yeah.
I think
can see
YouTube
why.
wanted a lot of payback from that because everything since you go watch the trailer on YouTube and all that good junk. So I think that was part of it.
Since we're talking about history making, the Super Bowl was history making, but guess what else was history making? The Deadpool Wolverine trailer had the most views ever in 24 hours at 365 million views.
Oof.
Wow.
Hey, that almost doubled.
And they didn't even show Wolverine.
No, and that's the crazy part.
Have y'all seen the screenshots of him though?
I have. He looks phenomenal in this.
Yeah.
The suit looks good. If that's what they go with instead of just having like digitally done anything else, the suit on the screenshots looks nice.
Oh yeah.
So with the Super Bowl movie trailers coming out, what are you guys most excited to see? I mean, we saw pretty much, I believe, like 4 or 5 movie trailers.
Okay. Should we just go down the list and name them all off real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
We had Deadpool, Wolverine. I'm sure all 4 of us are probably on that bandwagon already. We've already seen 1 and 2.
Yep.
We had Twisters, which was
The
a
Extreme. Yep.
We had Kingdom of the Crystals. What was it? Kingdom of
Kingdom
the
of the
Planet of
Crystal
the
Skull.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We had that one.
That looks cool. Yep.
And there was
Wicked.
Wicked. I don't know about, man. There was Wicked, and then there was one more. Didn't they show a Godzilla versus Kong? Or am I tripping?
No, they showed the Fall Guy, the new Ryan Gosling movie,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. And Kung Fu Panda 4.
No, they showed a Imaginary Friend.
Oh, Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is done by the guy that was on The Office, that played Jim on The Office.
John Krasinski. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
that was another. They
another
showed,
Easter egg.
Day
Randall
one.
Parks. Okay, whenever they did the interview for the trailer, it was an Asian guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a joke off The Office.
Yep.
I think right now the only movie trailer that I'm just super stoked about is probably Deadpool and Wolverine, because there's so many questions about the MCU. Where's the MCU at right now? And we'll talk about it probably in like recent watches too. But like, you have the Madam Web came out, which is getting god awful reviews. Where does that lie? I don't think this is an MCU film, right? It's just Sony.
No, it's a
Sony Spider-Man.
It's a Sony cash grab so they can keep the rights.
Essentially.
It looks terrible.
Kraven looked pretty cool though. Did you guys see the trailer to that yet?
I have not.
I saw the trailer when it came out back in the day, like in October.
Mm-hmm.
They released the full trailer, yeah. So I just
it looked decent. I'll say that at least. But I could sit there and say that the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, I went and checked that out. Like I said, it had 365 million views, so that means everybody's got to go watch this movie.
Yeah.
And when is that? Is that a May release?
July
26th.
Damn.
Yeah. I think out of all of them, I think obviously Deadpool and Wolverine was obviously the biggest one, but for me, my personal favorite was Twisters, because I don't think it's not going to be as good as the original, but I'm excited what they're going to do with it.
From what I've read about the movie is that the girl that's in the movie, that's Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've heard that, yeah. And I've also heard it's like a standalone sequel, so it's not really tied to the original film, which I appreciate.
The Extreme, baby.
Absolutely.
I hope there's a drive-in scene in it. They need a drive-in scene.
I hope so.
Old rundown one.
And then the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think all 3. Jay, you may agree with this, but I think all 3 of those 3 films, Rise, War, and Dawn, are really, really good films. So I'm curious of how they're gonna continue it.
But they don't have Matt Reeves no more.
And Andy Serkis is out too.
Yeah, they don't have. Caesar's not a big part of it, but just looking at the mocap that was in the trailer, it looked phenomenal though. It really did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Wicked is kind of interesting, but I feel like it can fall on its face as well.
It's part 1 also, so there's going to be 2 parts to it.
Yeah.
I have problems with Wicked because my ex-wife, was so into it, the musical.
So you don't want to go see it?
Well, it's just that Ariana Grande for real.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I feel like it's got high hopes, but I feel like it can bomb itself. I feel like it can do good.
If we had a
And-
podcast before Oz the Great and Powerful, this is probably the same conversation when that trailer came out.
Oh
Very
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Well, see,
And
unlike
something
that
else-
trailer, they spoiled the trailer. They spoiled who was the good witch and the bad witch in the trailer.
Yeah. And something else we're getting this year, which was a huge surprise by everyone, is Moana 2 comes out this Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So-
Is what?
Moana 2.
2.
Oh, yeah, I seen the little video for that 30-second clip where they were like, "Hey guys, we're doing it again. We're gonna
Even though we're getting like a
shitload.
even though we're getting a live action remake here in a couple years, which makes no sense, but okay.
Let's just hope they don't cast somebody too light for that role. Somebody gets pissed off about it. Did you guys see that? Whenever they cast Lilo and Stitch, they were legit complaining that the people they cast were too light. I'm like, they're Hawaiian.
Even though they're islanders, it's like, bro,
Yeah.
they are literally the people that are like
That
shown.
represented in the movie, yes.
They're literally from there.
I saw a screen the first live action screenshots today. So I guess that movie's not too far from being done.
Okay.
I think it's next year, I think, or
next year.
2026. Yeah.
Did you see they're doing Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm happy about that one in a weird way. Stitch was always a pain. What was he? 626 or something like that. Experiment
626. Yeah. Well, if you can see, bags back here of my wife's are stitched. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So a lot to talk about. Super Bowls, movie trailers. If anybody wants to mention some of the Super Bowl commercials you can in recent watches, Zach, we'll start with you though. Do you have any recent watches or recommendations you want to let off on anybody?
No, it's been a slow week. I've just been still doing I have like 3 more movies I have to watch before we do our 2023 review episode. I did watch Griselda on Netflix, the Sofia Vergara show. It was actually pretty good.
Good things about that.
I've seen a lot of the drug cartel shows on Netflix, like Narcos and all that. So it's a lot of the same, but I do think Sofia Vergara did give it a very good performance.
But if you watched Modern Family and you sit there and you seen how she played that character, you knew that she'd seen some shit back in the day when she lived in Cuba. So I could see her pulling that drug. Is she a drug queen pin?
Yeah.
I could see her pulling that off easily.
Yeah, and she did phenomenal. And the crazy thing about it, she doesn't even look like they put prosthetics and makeup in it. They don't even. What you know as Sofia Vergara she don't even look like that in the show. So I'd say recommend that. And guys, let's just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and get this off my chest. I went and saw Madam Web. Wasted an hour and 54 minutes of my life. Guys, Sony's got to stop. It has got to stop. This movie was so bad. This movie is so bad. Like my friend he doesn't really watch a lot of movies per se, and I was just talking about after the movie, the editing was so bad. He said, yeah, there was a few times I had to look away that it was just like 20-second scene changes, like this. The performances are bad. The visual effects are. I asked my friend, "Is this worse than Morbius?" And he said, "No, I think Morbius is better than this." To be honest,
I haven't even seen Morbius, but I've heard bad things about that.
Guys, it just
it's Morbin time.
I read a review that said Madam Web makes Morbius look like fucking Shakespeare.
I was gonna send you a text. It makes Morbius look like a Oscar-winning Best Picture movie.
I heard that the Madam Web or Spider Woman or whatever was pretty good though.
No,
the chick.
I don't know where you heard that from.
That specific was.
I don't know where you heard that.
I'll agree with Ed. Some of the reviews that I've read on Madam Web said the movie's bland as shit, that it sucks, but at least Dakota, what's her name, who plays her?
Johnson.
Yeah, the girl that plays Madam Web, at least she's somewhat interesting. It looks like she's having a good time.
No, none of the performances are good. No, I was sitting there like, I literally was sitting there like, you know me. I always try to think of something positive about a movie. I can't think of one good thing about this.
You can't think of one saving grace. Not anything that you walked away going, you know what? At least that small tidbit was in there because it was a shit meal. Other than that,
and by the way, spoiler alert. I don't even care if you care about it. Fine.
Nope.
They're trying to bring up the idea that Peter Parker is born in this movie. Like they're trying to set up the idea that that's Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but they just filmed miserably. I didn't even know that until I got home and read something about it. I was like, oh, that's what that's supposed to be. So
they're retconning. They're trying to retcon their fantastic Spider-Man series with a shitty knockoff.
Movie. I don't like this movie. I don't even care. It makes me not care about Craven, and it makes me not care about Venom 3. I really want this Sony Spider-Man stuff to stop.
I haven't even seen Venom 2, so I can't sit there.
No, you don't even watch that.
So Zach, does this make the Meg 2, which won your Dog Shit of the Year award? Does this make the Meg 2 look good?
I'll just go ahead and spoil for next year. The Dog Shit of the Year is Madam Web. I'll just go ahead and say it right now.
I was about to ask, have we already heard his worst of the year movie?
The worst of the year movie for me was the Meg 2, the Trench.
We already know 2 of his movies for next year. Awesome.
The bar is set. So who can go?
There is no way.
Who can go underneath and limbo that bar?
2023. If you guys did not join us last week, The Exorcist: The Believer won my worst of 2023.
Yeah.
I'll just say this. I won't even sit there and watch it because I knew it would have been bad.
I'll just say this. I saw Argyle the week before, and I thought that was bad. But I'd rather sit through Argyle again before I see Madam Web. And that's Zach, 2.5 hours long.
You're off to a hot start with these 2024 movies.
Dude, I walked out of the I'm not even joking. I walked out of the theater and I saw a poster for Dune Part 2, and I was like, God, please let this come out next week. Please. Because something good.
Because this calendar year already, you've seen Night Swim, Argyle, and Madam Web.
Looks like your picking movies is just horrible this year, man.
I saw the Beekeeper, and I like that. So
okay, Night Swim. If any of you, because I know, Zach, I don't know if you remember this or if you watched Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, but if y'all remember the one about the monster that goes into the pool and all that of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark that was on Nickelodeon. That's all I seen when I seen Night Swim's trailer.
I know the show, but I never. I thought it reminded me of an old film from the 90s about called Swim Fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought it reminded me of that. It's not that.
It's nothing like that. No.
Okay.
So essentially, avoid Madam Web. I'm almost done with The Bear season 2, so go check that out if you want something good to watch.
I'll rapid fire through mine real quick. I checked out the John Lennon documentary Murder Without a Trial on Apple TV. It's pretty good. It's only a 3-part series. Each episode is only 40 minutes apiece. Norma Ray was Sally Field. That's where she won her Best Actress award. Across the universe.
I love the song by the Beatles. I have not seen the movie.
The movie's not bad.
Because I know they use a lot of Beatles music in it, don't they?
Yeah, it's all Beatles music launched in with the riots, launched in with Vietnam, launched in with the drugs across. It's essentially Forrest Gump with Beatle music telling the story.
That don't sound too bad, honestly.
No. Priscilla and the Marvels.
That was Priscilla, man. Because I've watched a lot of Elvis movies, and really shitty ones and good ones. But how is it?
So I really liked Elvis with Tom Hanks, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more of a darker Priscilla story, telling her story about how Elvis is, and that's exactly how this movie is. I wanted to be a little A24 biased and say that this movie was really great, but I would probably say that it's pretty good, not great. And it is looking at Elvis in her eyes.
There was a movie that was made. She wrote a book. Priscilla wrote a book called Elvis and Me, and they made it a made-for-TV movie back in the mid '80s, early '90s, something like that. You guys are too young to remember it, but it was called Elvis and Me, and it was from her point of view on how Elvis was and everything like that.
That's exactly what this movie is. This movie's based off of that book as well, and it's directed by
Sofia Coppola.
Yeah. And Lisa Marie, I did some reading on it, and I think it'll be a fun episode one day. Honestly, talk about Priscilla, but just in some short stance, it was Lisa Marie was like, "I will not stand behind the movie. I'm not going to have anything good to say about the movie because it makes her dad look like a pretty much a drunk predator in the movie." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure the movie doesn't succeed." As she died like 4 months later, before the movie came out.
Conspiracy.
In a way, like a lot of these, in a way, what sucks is a lot of stars have been, brought out to have like dated or married underage kids. Basically,
Ed and Juan are both related to me. And we come from a family of Elvis fans that it was God, then Elvis. And they can attest to that. We know useless Elvis facts that probably no one on earth probably would know, but we know it because it's gospel.
Yeah.
And I've even been to Graceland, so hey, I've been to the man's house.
So, like you say, Jay, like you, Johnny, and Ev, seen like every Elvis documentary, movie, made for TV thing, whatever.
Most likely, we've seen it.
Or at least in the room with it, one of the two.
And then I didn't get to finish the Marvels, but it was getting bad. It was getting bad reviews as well. I don't think it was that bad so far.
I don't think it's bad.
No, I'm about an hour into it. I still have 45 minutes to go, but I'm thankful that it's not 220. And then I checked out the creator again for today's episode. If I had to recommend anything, honestly, I didn't say this, but The Greatest Game Ever Played with Shia LaBeouf is on Disney Plus. The John Lennon documentary is real interesting. That's on Apple TV. And then go check out the Marvels whenever it hits Disney Plus. And I think Priscilla is on the Vudu, but it's also going to be on HBO Max here pretty soon. So go check those out.
I need to finish the Elvis movie first.
Yeah, you should do that.
That's blasphemy in my art, isn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of what you need to finish, Jay, what about you? Do you have anything you want to recommend to anybody?
I've been watching the same show for the past 3 weeks, and it's The Office Superfans Edition.
Yeah, I heard about that.
They added season 7. I couldn't remember what all they'd done to season 1 through 6, so I went back through, and I'm on season 5 right now. I've watched that show probably 20 times.
I was about to say. I was going to ask, are you like a big fan of the show?
Oh, I'm a huge fan of The Office.
What is it about it that like it's so appealing? Like out of my curiosity, I've tried so many times to watch it. I cannot get into it. I don't know what it is.
It's the awkwardness. It's whenever Michael does something awkward or Dwight does something awkward, you're just like, yep, been there before.
Like Jim has the suaveness. Toby is like the guy who gets shit on for doing his job.
No reason. Yeah.
No reason. Just doing his job. Seems like a dude actually I'd go get a beer with outside of work. But inside of work, leave me alone, please. Go over there. I suckered my wife into it just with the Jim and Pam relationship. Literally. Have seen it. I've seen it 4 times. She's seen it once.
My kids, there'll be 6 to my kids. I raised my nephew Aaron and my daughter Morgan. They were like, "What should we watch, Dad?" And I was like, "You're gonna watch The Office." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're gonna watch The Office." And so they put The Office on. The very last episode, they were crying, and Ed probably gets it. You know what they said to me? It's like, "Dad, why does it feel like we're losing our best friends?"
All right.
Dude, no, seriously, the journey you go on from Michael being just a belligerently offensive boss to buying a condo and getting screwed over, to getting screwed over on like several different things with one of his bosses, to leaving the show altogether, and then all of a sudden at the end, it's a whole thing that just culminates in like a an emotional
good
fest.
finale.
Yeah, dude. Like,
well, and that's and part of it.
And here's how awkward they made Michael. The very first joke Michael tells on the show is a Hitler joke.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and my thing is like I said, I've tried to watch it, and I guess it's just the humor. Like you said, Jay, it is the awkwardness, like the office humor type thing.
And
that's
a lot of
fine.
people did have kind of rough. The first season is rough.
It's rough, right?
There's only 6 episodes, but they can be rough.
But I know Steve Carell leaves the show after season 6, season 7,
middle of 7.
And so I'm just like, I don't know, like, and that's like and I know like there's Dwight and Jim, like you said, Ed, Jim, and all the other characters, but like Steve Carell is that show, you know.
He is, but being a fan of the show, and Ed could probably verify this, Michael was missed, but Michael was not needed.
No, 100%. Because I mean, it did leave out kind of a small corner of it. It's like if you got a birthday cake without the corner, like it's still the birthday cake, but that corner is still kind of like, what's going on over there? What is going on over there? You know, kind of thing. But like with that, I mean, they bring in people like Will Ferrell. Even they bring in Ricky Gervais, who was the Michael from the British version, the original. Yeah. And I will tell you I've seen the British version.
Oh, that's awkward as hell, isn't it?
Yes. The difference of like pull in, there's a reason that got 1 season only, and this one, or the Steve Carell office, got its entire run.
Yeah, like
there's a reason for it, and I mean it's not necessarily that was just trash, but it was just like it didn't. Some of the characters just weren't believable. They were a bit too much, not enough. It just seemed kind of like they'd gone to work tired.
The last time I heard, they were going to make an Australian version with a female Steve Carell version, and that's
what
that could be.
But they already did that with what's her name, the British chick. That remember whenever they go on the retreat and she takes Andy's job, she comes back and goes, "Nope, that's my office." They already did it with her.
Literally. And I mean, like, she doesn't, dude, it's not like she got hired. She just comes in, swoops in, takes the job for a bit. The bosses come down and are like, "Oh, you're doing a great job. Sure, you can have this job." Don't like it.
Zach,
yeah.
Zach, maybe me and you should check it out since I haven't watched it either. We could watch it one episode at a time and talk about it the following week.
Get past the first season. I promise you. Get past the first season.
Yes. And another show I'll recommend, I haven't been watching it, but this is one I stand by forever, is My Name is Earl.
Oh,
that's it.
My Name is Earl. I haven't heard no one's talk about that show in years.
Right.
Jay, do you have anything else you want to recommend?
No, just I've been watching The Office.
Nice. Yeah, I think Edward recommends it every now and again. Like I think we should, Zach. We should owe it to ourselves to at least watch the first season together, and then maybe mention it and see how we think.
The best thing I could tell you though is pay attention to the little things, because those little things will matter later on, because they might seem cringe now, but you're like, holy shit, that really came back in another episode.
Like, I know we got to move on, but like I've seen actually season 1 multiple times because I've tried to get through the series. The one episode that always stands out to me is Diversity Day, where Michael's trying to teach the class and it's just completely awkward. Like nobody in today's, they would be instantly fired if they did something like that.
It's because he did the Chris Rock routine.
Yes.
I think, Zach, that's what kind of makes me wonder about you, because you're in like an office like settings with your office job, and so it's kind of like I'm surprised you haven't clicked and just kept going with it.
We have like little
cubicles,
cubicles and stuff like that. So I mean, kind of, I'm in an office actually, but I mean, we kind of do stuff like that, but not to that level. So,
Edward, what about you? And do you have anything you want to mention, or are you still on your Vampire Diaries kick?
Same toilet, man. Still on the Vampire Diaries. We are.
What season are you on?
late season 6. Season
How many
6,
are there?
I feel like you've been watching that for 9
8,
months.
maybe 9.
Oh, so
I'm not exactly sure.
So you have about a couple seasons left. Okay.
Yeah, dude. No, I know. I think there's like 20 to 25 episodes per season, and they're all like
You should do,
45 minutes.
Ed, you should do Supernatural, and you would like every time we do an episode, like every time we do an episode, what season you on, bro?
Dude, after season 7 of Supernatural, I fell off because I was just like, this is too much. They're into gods and leviathans and shit like that. And like when they brought on Lucifer for Supernatural, I was like, okay, I can see that. But then when they brought on God, I was like, you know what?
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm gonna bow out. It's just the same like with The Walking Dead. I have never seen a full episode past Glenn's death. Ever.
I've never seen an actual episode.
It's good. It's good
until
but like if
it gets to a point, but they get rid of all the good characters by a certain point in the series.
If you latch onto a character like I did Glenn for that matter, Stephen Yeun's character, once that character goes, you lose a lot of interest. And dude, I remember those days, like those weeks or whatever, to where they killed that character and it was just from the camera version. Everybody was like figuring out where the shadows were and figuring out who was across from who and where this trajectory, and all crap like that. And everybody was like, it's either Glenn, Abraham, or there was another guy I forgot, but Glenn and Abraham or whatever. And I was just like, he's a strong character, but get rid of Abraham. It's cool.
But see, if you would have read the comics, comic books, Ed, then you would have known who was going to bite the bullet every time.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know? Here's a little trivia for you about your The Walking Dead. How did the zombie virus happen?
That I don't know. I never got to that.
Aliens did it. The creator of the show, that when he wrote the comic book, he was like, aliens did it.
Huh.
They blame everything on poor aliens.
It's like Mr. Crocker.
It was an alien virus that got through.
Right.
Oh my god. Damn. Alien. Okay.
So yeah, it was aliens.
Speaking of aliens,
it's a good segue.
Let's get into some sci-fi of our own. We're talking about The Creator today. IMDb has it at 6.8, Rotten Tomatoes at 67%. The Metascore is 63%, with a release date of September 29th, 2023. As we get into it, against the backdrop of a war between humans and robots with artificial intelligence, a former soldier finds the secret weapon, a robot in form of a young child. Starring John David Washington, Gemma Chan, Allison Janney,
Ken Watanabe. I didn't know that it was Denzel Washington's son until I watched this movie.
Yeah,
really.
I was like, that's Denzel's son. Oh, I could totally do it.
It was his training day, apparently.
And I know the little girl that plays Alfie. This was her very first film.
Dude.
Yes.
I went through and done some research of my own.
Zach, how do you pronounce Alfie's name? Does anybody know, maybe?
Madeline Una Voiles.
There we go.
There you go.
Boom.
He earned his stripes right there. There's no way I was going to pronounce that. Jay, you brought this up earlier, though. We mentioned it every week. $80 million budget, only grossed $104 million at the box office.
Which, I mean, seems like a little bit compared to the Marvels and stuff like that movies. But at the same time, it's like, dude, it made $24 million over its budget. And this film looks like at least double the budget.
No, I was
a lot,
That's one of the strong suits about the movie that I can sit there and say is that its cinematography is beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's an absolute beautiful picture to watch. But that's where I'm going to leave it.
The director Gareth Edwards has directed movies like Monsters, Godzilla, Rogue One, and now The Creator. So first time versus versus now. Zach, we'll start with you. Do you remember the first time you watched it, and what was it like revisiting it for the episode?
Yeah, saw this in the theater back when it came out
Oh,
in late
nice.
September, and I kind of bought into the hype of people were saying like this is like one of the best science fiction movies in the last 10 years, and it's really well done. And I like Gareth Edwards as a director. Those movies that you mentioned, Godzilla and Rogue One, I think he had a very creative stance a very creative stamp of how he made those movies. Obviously, he's well versed in the science fiction genre. And when I walked out, I'll be honest, I was not very impressed with it. I mean, I agree with you, Jay, the cinematography, the visuals. This movie looks very expensive. It is shocking that it only has that type of a budget. On this rewatch, I liked it even less, to be honest.
Oh, no.
So,
Jay, what about you? This was the first time you said for you. You kind of said it already in your first short words. Do you have anything else, or you just want to leave it till we get into content?
I'll go ahead and say a few words about it. I tried watching it 4 times and I fell asleep at the exact same part every time.
All right. So,
on a positive note, no. No, you know what? I have to admit, the very first time I watched it, I didn't get to check this out in the theater, but I bought it. I think it came out in physical media like December, January. I bought it, watched it. Like I was like you, Zach. I saw the hype. I saw reviews saying this is one of the best sci-fi movies in 10 years. It's one of the best sci-fi movies people have ever seen, and it kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah.
The second time around, I noticed a lot of stuff, and it was a much more positive watch the second time around. So I'll get into it when we talk about it. Ed, what about you? First time?
First time. Never even heard of this movie. Never even heard.
So what was your you have a little shot or a little thought about it when it was over?
Originality is there. Inspirations are there for sure.
Yeah.
That's the best summary I can do without spoiling much.
And that's cool. If you guys have not seen it, or if you don't want us to spoil it, go check it out. It's on Hulu. We're at 37 minutes into the episode. Pause it.
Right now, we're going to spoil the shit out of that movie.
We are. What'd you guys think of the opening title? You know, it has its opening chapters.
That's what intrigued me. That intrigued me. That whole part right there, but until the atomic bomb happened, whenever they nuked everybody in LA, I was like, okay, I can get behind this. And then the story changed, and I was like, not what I thought it was at all.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it because it just showed like the evolution of robotics of like where we came from to the simulants of like how they obviously look like real human beings. Which is kind of like a Blade Runner thing, which if you really think about it.
Replicant.
Yeah. But I agree. Like I enjoy the backdrop of this war that essentially we're trying to destroy AI, but it was actually human error when you later find out later in the movie. But when it comes to John David Washington and the whole kid storyline, it's like I don't know about you guys, but I could have called that like right when the movie began. Like I can just tell like, oh, this is going to be his son, essentially, or a version of his son.
See, I was like that the first time, and the thing that I even have written down in my notes, the thing that kind of threw me off and made me not so turned on about the movie was how he was so obsessed with Maya, and how, you know, even though he has all these different things running through his system, his body, Maya was still the end all be all. Even when he got in possession of the child, it was still Maya. So if, like, you know, how Jay said, the beginning of the war kind of feeling felt like it was going to be one of those kind of sci-fi movies. So the first time I had a little issue with the Maya, the child story, but then the second time around, not only getting just engulfed with the story and the loveness between him and Maya, then it turns into him and the child. But like in this watch alone, I got vibes and just like recalls from Stargate, Blade Runner, Terminator, Wall-E. This movie just paid so many different tributes to those movies. It felt like I don't know, like this second time around, I just really was embedded into the sci-fi story. I don't know.
That's fine. I mean,
Did any of those other classic sci-fi movies go through anybody else's head?
Honestly, Rogue One did.
Yeah.
Like Rogue
There are some
One, you can
Rogue
see
One
that.
elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Star Wars looking vehicles and robots and stuff like that. That just kept going over.
The ship that we made, humans made, wasn't that the Nomad? I thought that design was pretty snazzy. I like the way I like the lights. No matter where it is in the atmosphere, the lights
don't
scan things.
A lot of stuff was cool in this. A lot of it was really, really freaking cool. And for it to only have, an 80, some odd $1 million budget, it's amazing. And it shows that you don't need $400 million to make the best Marvel movie this year, kind of thing. It doesn't need that.
Right.
It shows it very easily.
What do you guys think about the 5 years later, and you end up seeing Joshua's the LA nuke took him out and killed his parents, and now he has to use AI for his limbs and stuff.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised when that didn't really add too much to him. Too much.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, he hates because of this war, because of his loss of Maya. I agree with you, Ed. The fact that he has to use AI for 2 of his limbs, that I would think that would make him hate himself even more, and he just kind of wants to end it all. But it didn't really play that out. I think that would have been an interesting, concept.
I mean, I can see this maybe being 100 years, 200 years in the future, and being like, well, this is the old school peg leg versus a prosthetic back in the 2000s to now in 2085. This is AI limbs, kind of thing. But I don't know, maybe it's just that in itself, and that's really the biggest baseline of it. Maybe we're reading into that a little too much. I don't know.
I thought some of it played like propaganda.
Yeah. Dude, there was a lot of political propaganda in this.
I seriously felt like it was and it played both sides too.
Mm-hmm. Strongly.
It tried to sit there and make you feel sorry for the AI by making them look human.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't find them, it's kind of like that. If you don't find them to have feelings, then you're a bigot. I'm like, whatever the hell a hater of the robots are,
I mean,
they had them in their world.
It's kind of like this, man. It's like the and I know I'm gonna get a laugh from at least one or two of you right now, but it's like a shark vac or the little robot vacuums. You don't look at that thing with feelings and go, huh? If I trip over it, it's gonna be like kind of thing. Like it vacuums up your crap, like it vacuums up your dust, and maybe it gets the corner of your rug. I don't know,
but that's the biggest thing. Asked though, Ed, is that with them donating their likeness, how does that make you feel now that they have a face of somebody and possibly love on there?
And that's the thing.
That's the question that they ask is, can you push that aside? Is it machine or is it a being because of that reason?
It's kind of like the organ donors thing, on the back of the ID, the organ donors. It's kind of like, okay, my heart gone to save this guy over here because, I was too old to still go, but the heart's good. So put it in the 24-year-old kid that needs a heart transplant kind of thing. It's like, okay, do you look at it that same as that? And hey, it saved his life. Or do you look at it like this and be like, well, the likeness and kind of whatever was the same as that person now in this robot kind of deal. So should I care about this thing or should I just have it do some chores?
When you guys did get some of the sci-fi action scenes, like the mission where the guy's like, oh, they need a facial recognition, and you get that first initial battle scene. Let me know what was going through you guys' minds. Were you when you did have action scenes, was it cool? Did it kind of they've seen this too many times, or was the story
cool lasers? I'm serious. I'm not even trying to be a dick or nothing. When I seen them shooting, I'm like, doo. I'm like, they got laser guns. I'm like, cool. We know we're in the future now. They got laser guns.
That's why, like, Rogue One and Star Wars just kept playing through my mind because of some of the small little things like that they did, and it was just like, damn, okay, like, is this towards that area or what are we doing here?
Well, I mean, there's literally a whole sequence towards the end of the film. Like, there's a whole battle of like a beach colony or whatever, and that's the exact same thing that happened in Rogue One.
Which
so
it kind of
like, it's kind of doing the same thing, and it just in a different light.
Yeah.
Do what you know.
And I mean, you know, shopping to these executives and all that, you know, it's kind of like, okay, is it more kind of a thing like, hey, they paid for this movie, they'll pay for this too, because this is kind of similar to it. It's different, but it's similar to this.
And
like,
even in the trailers and the commercials and the movie posters, that's pretty much what was all over the posters, was from the creator and director of Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to.
We want you to watch Rogue One again, but this time with different aliens and monsters.
This is the side mission on like Tatooine or some shit.
Yeah, this is Joshua's mission.
Speaking of Joshua and John David Washington, Jay, you brought him up earlier. This is really the first time we've talked about John David Washington since we reviewed The Tenet a few years ago. Like, and Jay, you didn't know he was Denzel's son until you said you watched this movie. There was a few scenes where I could have closed my eyes. I'm like, that sounds just like Denzel.
Dude, so did I. I was like, that was Denzel. Oh, there's his Denzel. I see it now. I get it. There it is.
Where do you
but he'll never be as smooth as his dad, though.
Oh no, no. There, if we're talking, that's a whole nother conversation. Where do we think John David is going in this direction? He's now done stuff like The Tenet, The Black Klansman. You know, he's done a few shows, I believe. And now he's gone off and done this. You think he's still trying to find what he wants to be known as, or do you think he's still waiting for that one big role?
If he's anything like his dad, he'll take whatever role he can get, and he'll put his stamp on whatever role he gets, like his dad did.
That's why I was like, he's building his portfolio, if you will. It is really what he's doing. I mean, dude's going, and it's not necessarily like he's getting truly typecast. There's a little bit of it, but not 100%. But I mean, he's not bad. That's for sure. No. Like y'all said, it may not be as smooth as, but at the same time, does he need to be? He can be himself. You know, kind of create a little difference and kind of be like, you know, this is I grew up in it, but I didn't grow up to be him. You know,
with Denzel, you got Training Day, and you got like the Equalizer series, and then he's in the Pelican Brief as a lawyer. You buy everything he does.
Yeah. And I think John David Washington has that a little bit, because he can do something like Black Klansman, but then do Tenet, but come back to do Rogue One, but also do like Malcolm and Marie. So he can do. I think he does have that. I think he does have his father's ability of doing like just different genres of film.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna make a prediction. His next role, he's gonna be a lawyer.
That's gonna be hilarious if it's true. It's gonna be.
He's got to have that Pelican Brief under his belt.
I swear to God. Because he's 39, so you know there's that.
He's getting up there in age in Hollywood years.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the scene where Shipley dies and they take like they take his memory and put it in a robot so he can live like 20 more seconds? What'd you guys think of small stuff like that?
Cool.
That's some of the cool stuff in this movie. It's just like, okay, that's something I never thought of. It's like taking someone's memory and put it in a robot, and you know they actually have a little bit of themselves from their actual body. Like there are ideas in the movie that I think work really well, but I feel like
it just didn't execute.
It wasn't executed all the way through.
So my problem with the movie is that I see that, like you said, we're talking about these high concepts that they have, but they mainly followed the Joshua and Alfie. That was it. They followed them. We got that. I get that. That's part of the story, but you're introducing too many high concepts. And like we're talking about right now, the robots being able to control a certain percentage of a person's death. They can sit there and they can help them, you know, like we've seen in the movie. But,
yeah. I think my biggest problem with it, truthfully, is the pacing of the film. I just thought they were long. Like, I didn't feel like excited about it. Like I've seen other science fiction movies. I just felt like, okay, I'm just waiting for the next big set piece. Essentially, I didn't really care about the characters.
I was about to say, on top of that, you kind of got to build me to want Alfie to help change or to help make peace or to help do something. There was some towards it, but not a lot that really, really, really made you like want that person. Because I mean, it's like, and I don't forgive the comparison, but AI, you know, you kind of wanted
the Spielberg movie,
you wanted the kid to survive. You know, you kind of got a connection with the kid to a decent degree. It's not that you didn't with this, but it didn't feel like much was really truly put on other than other than Joshua's, resiliency to want this kid to survive. That was the biggest part of like, yeah, you need to get this, kind of thing. And
I think that's a perfect, like, if you took Rogue One, Blade Runner, and AI, I think this is like the summation of this film.
Oh. And he was taken out. No, I'm just kidding. I can agree with that. There was a lot that was good in this film, but I feel like, and I know they have to, just because it's like, to get the funding for the film, you have to go through some guys, you have to go through some channels and all that. I truly do get it. Oh, there he is. But at the same time, it's just like, they too also need to realize, like, take a damn chance. Like, you never know what could be the biggest next thing.
They did, and that's why they gave it $80 million.
Yeah,
and that's true.
What'd you guys think when you found out that Maya is how do you
a stimulant?
Yeah.
I mean,
because they're looking for Namada. They're looking for Namada the whole time, and then you find out that, oh, it's been Maya this entire time.
Seriously, I didn't care.
By the time you find out, he impregnated. That's another thing I want to know. Yeah. So she technically lost her life and gave birth to a 50-50 baby, right? And they saved the baby. And
well, the way I see it, well, because the way the movie plays out, or it's trying to say, is that she was trying to replicate the likeness of the baby. Is that what I'm understanding? So that way, if she did die, the baby could live on.
You guys have a better understanding of this movie than I do.
At the end of the day, it's all about a guy getting a nut.
It is.
And out pops the artificial nut intelligence.
O and I.
Oh my god.
A and I. Oh my god. Artificial nut intelligence. John, Juan, you might have coined something right there.
It could be on a mug.
I think a lot of it, though, and if we kind of scope out for that matter, a lot of this is political. A lot of it is kind of the age-old trope of how much do we put into AI? How much do you make it to where they can, because she could control different computers whenever she focused,
I think it's just telling us not to put too much faith in AI, because at the end of the day, they can come back and kick our ass.
Or trust in it either, for that matter. But at the same time, it's just like
the biggest conversation this movie to me could bring up is that opening sequence that we all loved, where they sit there and show the robots going through their different development, and how they showed one of them flipping boogers, they were making hamburgers for us. And where are we at scientifically now to having those items now? Because I've sat there and seen videos in Japan of, it's just a damn computer and it makes your food.
Yeah.
So it's like we're putting ourselves, and they're using robots in surgery already.
Yep. Have been for a few years at least.
Or there's even like you said in the food, there's AI servers right now.
I mean,
That'll bring out your food.
If you want to be real with it, some planes are very, very much AI. And I'm not even talking drones, but there's a lot of planes out there that are AI that are used for strikes and war and stuff like that.
We have self-driving cars nowadays.
Yeah.
That shows how much we're putting into AI.
And I mean, to me, we're just on the horizon. We're not even in the we're still 3 miles out at sea looking into the light tower or lighthouse or whatever. Like we're not even there yet.
See, one thing that I've always have been taught is that what we have as civilians, the military has 10 years ahead of us. So they have some very freaky shit that we would freak out if we knew they had.
Well, I mean, okay, think about it like this, and this is something
what
very,
if they
very
actually
simple.
have somebody, though, replicants or whatever the symbionts right now? What if we already have those? What if there's this fucking sentient race living on planet Earth right now, and they're synthetic?
Well, and I mean, think of something as simple as this. This is a very simple thing. It's nothing scary. A camelback, okay, the water pouch. Most people haven't known about that since the mid to late 2000s, when it probably came out civilian late 90s, mid 90s, but the military had it back in the 70s. I mean, that was 20, 30 plus years before we even knew about it. And that was just a water pouch that was on your back and has a straw you can sip out of. That's something as simple as that. But, it's just like, if that's so little of a thing, exactly like you just said, like, what else is there? Is there sentient, technology out there that is roaming again in our depths?
I don't know if you guys have noticed it. I know this is probably a little off topic, but have you guys noticed that they've been talking about aliens a lot lately on TV? Like news and shit's taking it seriously, and the military is all like, look at this.
Well, ever since that Navy video was released when they were flying.
But it goes hand in hand with that, to me, with AI, because if we did something like that, we would share we got help.
Dude, this could be that conversation right there could be an entire other podcast, an entire other 3-hour episode, twice a week podcast. I swear to God, I have so many thoughts, theories, and it's crazy.
To finish this off real quick, what did you guys think of the ending? You got Hal's death, which we didn't even talk really about Allison Janney much, because that's a voice from Futurama, right?
Yeah.
A voice from the future. And I thought it was just kind of funny. I'm sure they typecasted her just for her voice.
Yeah.
Well, she was on that show Mom for years.
Oh yeah. The ending was kind of like a sacrificial ending. He died, went to heaven. What'd you guys think of that last 10 minutes, really? And then you see Alfie, with the big smile, and boom, you're probably expecting the Star Wars credits to go after she smiles. But
like that kid in the 7th or 8th one or whatever, just looking up at the stars.
Was it an ending that was just like kind of bland, like you guys didn't care much, or was it like, finally it's over?
It was kind of bland.
I was ready for it to end.
I'm gonna say that as well. It was. I was mainly kind of like watching the watch, just like, come on, we get it. Just be over with, whatever.
It was more.
Seems like Johnny, you're the only one that liked this. We were just kind of like, it's fine. It's essentially what it is.
That's how I was the very first time. So that's why I thought this movie would be fun to talk about, because it did have so much sci-fi hype around it. And I scheduled this movie back in December. Yeah. So this was one of those movies that had just came out in theaters. So I was like, I was taking the hype into consideration, and then that's how I felt after the first time I watched it. Like, I was kind of ready for this movie to be over. I enjoyed it the time around. I didn't love it at the time, but so yeah, the ending was kind of not really a I guess payoff. I guess the big nukers, the big giant rice cooker nuker is pretty much finished and killed off at the end, and then you pretty much have the
Did we watch
you know.
the same movie? Because you guys are talking about shit that I'm like, I don't remember that part at all.
When
were
Johnny
getting a
doesn't
nap
know the
in,
word,
man.
when Johnny doesn't know the word for things, he just makes shit up, and we just assume that's what he's talking about.
Okay, so at the end of the movie, the big bomb things that she was like, "Okay, go ahead," and it ran in, and it would just stand there and just like, tink, tink, tink,
Oh
tink,
yeah,
tink,
yeah.
you know, those
Yeah.
things is what he's
But
talking about.
the big ship at the end though that fell and exploded.
The Nomad, yeah.
The Nomad, that was the nuker, right? That's the thing that was nuking things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the big baddie ship
The
thing.
big
Yeah.
baddie.
The
Sounds
human
like
error.
like a sandwich. Subway,
Oh
the big
my
baddie.
Oh my god!
Can I get the big baddie with everything on it?
Oh,
You should go to
Jesus.
Subway and say that to see what they say.
They probably wouldn't look at you too strange. They'd probably be like, "We have something like that." What would you?
I swear to God, that's on the secret menu.
Or she
Like-
looks in the back and she says, "Felicia, it's for you."
He's stupid. Talking about Felicia.
Well, it was kind of a bland movie. Kind of ran into everything together. Does anybody? We'll start with you, Ed. Do you have a favorite scene that you would like to at least name off?
I mean, the action scenes were pretty cool, you know. I guess the best one I can really think of right off the top of my head that keeps popping up was kind of the ending battle, for that matter. And it's not because, finally this movie is over. It wasn't a thing like that, but it was just like, okay, are they actually going to push this movie to where it can survive and maybe even make a sequel? Or is it going to be like, well,
now that I think about it, that's one of the biggest, that's another complaint I have is like, I really thought by the time that we killed off Allison Janney's character, the movie was over. But then we still have like another 15 minutes left. I was like, ugh.
I could agree with that. Zach, what about you? Do you have a favorite scene?
The credits? No.
No. The opening credits of like where they're showing like the evolution of robotics. And then it goes into like the nuclear war and all this. And, you know, we go into Terminator 2 area. So I'm like, okay. So what about you, Jay?
I'm agree with you there on that, Zach. I like that part. And then just visually, the next scene we got when they're like laying in bed and he's rubbing her stomach and everything, but they're approaching the beach. And you got that spotlight coming down and it's just scrolling through the mountains and everything. I thought that was a cool shot. I thought that was going to set me up for some cooler movie, but
and then this happened.
Yeah. But other than that, I thought it was, that was my favorite scenes.
If I had I would say I enjoyed the beginning scene like everybody else did, and then the scene where Shipley dies, pretty much the title, The Child, and like the next 15-20 minutes when Shipley dies, and you know stuff like that was going through. I thought it was pretty cool. I guess So I guess we're all kind of agreed that the beginning was setting you up for this big, nice sci-fi movie, and then it kind of just.
It Hulk Hogan the shit out of y'all, Andre the Giant Bastards, didn't it?
It fizzled out essentially.
Goodbye.
So this should be an interesting rating. 1 out of 10. If this is the first time you're watching or listening, a 1 being Madam Web, I guess, and 10 probably being Empire Strikes Back or The Dark Knight. So let's start off with you, Ed. What's your star rating?
I'm going to go ahead and go with a 6. Originality, the look of the movie was fantastic. To me, this one had ambition, but nowhere to really, it didn't really go with it. It looked just as good, like as an Avatar or something like that. Maybe some people might get.
Is that going to go in the poster? Look just as good as Avatar.
Dude, I swear to it did though. Like Avatar, like The Way of Water, it was all right looking. I didn't see much of it, but it wasn't like, dude, this is what we've been waiting X amount of years for, kind of thing.
You're right,
Johnny. Would you rather watch this again or Avatar 2?
This one.
Avatar 2. I'd rather watch Avatar 2. I had no problems with The Way of the Water.
Jay, what about
Fair
you?
enough.
I'd give it about a 5. Like I said, it's a gorgeous looking movie. It had some high concepts, but like Ed pointed out, they went nowhere. A lot of it was, I don't know. Something feels like it feels like something was missing from the movie.
The pin clicking tells enough. Just kidding.
I would have to say I'd give it the same as you, Ed. I'd probably give it a 6. After I watched it the first time, honestly, I was ready to smack dab it and give it a 5. The second time around, I don't know. I just saw some things that I liked and enjoyed the second time around. I felt more of the sci-fi callbacks, paying attention more to John David Washington. I liked it the second time around, but not by much. So I give it a 6. What about you, Zach? Go ahead and finish this off.
I agree with all y'all. Originality, cinematography, the look and feel of the film, but I just didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the plot. It's fine. I'm gonna give it a 6. So
6, 5, 6.
6 for the creator. Before we put a finishing stamp on this this episode, everybody kind of knows the story why and how me and Ed started this podcast and what drove me into like enjoying movies this much. But a fun fact, Jay, if it wasn't for you, sir, and you bringing me to this fine video establishment called One Stop Video, I don't think I'd be sitting here today. Let's kind of welcome you in, and everybody has given their side of their story of why they're on this podcast. But you're one of the ones who drove movies onto me that probably should have been driven onto me as a little.
Hey, I drove a couple things onto you. I drove wrestling onto you too.
So how? So you're the So Jay is the reason why Johnny is the way he is today, essentially.
Basically,
just like that scene in Twister.
Yeah.
Jesse, explain the reason why you are the way you are.
Well, I was their very first customer. They were putting the store together. I go over there to One Stop Video, and I'm like, hey, can I get a video card? I'm only like 15, 16 years old. And they're like, sure. So since I was their first customer, my card number was 11. Friends and family got first cards, but I was their very first customer. And that Johnny remembers this. 5 days, 5 nights for $5.
Yep. 5 movies, 5 days, $5. Yep. And I mean, one of the first times that I can remember talking about that video store, your room looked like this room. Tons of VHSs, tons of DVDs, movie posters throughout the wazoo. Like you had movie posters like this thick from One Stop Video. Like it was just embedded in us. Like,
I got first pick.
Yeah. And then like you were telling us off before the show started that you got movies that were like demo movies about movies that were still in theaters.
Yeah, at Miramax they would turn black and white for about 5 or 10 minutes, but they would have like how the Cine-Men thing is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right here. Mm-hmm. It would sit there and say, "This is a property of Miramax. If you have come across this and rented this, please call this number." So it would have a 1-800 number for you to call to let people know that I'm watching a pirated video.
Did you ever call that number?
Hell no, I didn't. Shit, Kent, the guy that ran the place, his name was Kent, and I used to go up there and help him. I actually worked for him. I was his little gopher. Me and a buddy of mine, we'd go in there and we'd pick out movies all the time. And he's like, I got some new demos if you want to go back there and look at them. Okay. So we'd go back there and check out the demos. He's like, I got new posters too. So that's
Is One Stop Video still around, or is it closed down?
It's closed. I remember the week that thing closed, it was like losing a family member. It was
did they put everything on sale and you got like 8 billion DVDs?
They did. Like it was kind of like the same thing when Blockbuster went out of sale. Like they were doing 99-cent stuff, 2 for $1 on certain titles. I think even at one time to bring more business in there, Jay, I don't know if you remember, but he even had a tanning bed in there at one point.
Yeah.
What the
what?
It would be such an interesting story. I've been trying to get him on the phone or on this podcast for months now. I don't know if it's just like a touchy subject for him, but I need to. He's reached out to me, and I've reached out to him, but a date has just not been set yet, and I think that would just make for a fantastic story to tell.
I just I'd bring up a little things like, "Hey, Kent, I remember this," and then just let him talk.
Yeah, because I think stuff like that is so interesting. It's interesting to talk to somebody who owns or who runs a Blockbuster, but to put up your own money and to put up your own local video store, I think that's
cool.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be where I'm at if I wouldn't have had Juan's dad as a movie person. Like his dad would show like Demolition Man. I was telling Juan about this earlier. I was like, dude, he's like, you got to watch this Stallone movie, man. I'm like, all right. So Demolition Man it was. So I went. We used me and Johnny's. I call him Juan Johnny. I used to go with his dad to the pawn shops a lot. We used to go buy VHS from the pawn shop. So that's memories that I have with his dad of going to the pawn shop buying all these kind of movies. I remember one time he found Star Wars, all 3 tapes, and he's like, hell yeah, I found them all. They were the old CBS Fox tapes.
Oh, wow.
No joke.
With the original cuts.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was like.
Those are worth money though, right? Like
now they are, yeah.
Pretty good money.
I don't know where they're at. But
looks like you need to go searching, buddy.
Now it leads into pawn shops, stacks like this.
Oh,
it does.
But that's a little fun, interesting fact and story. So I'm excited to see where this podcast is going to go. And I think, a few years ago we had this segment called Pardon My Pandemic where we invited all the sponsors on and they talked about their stories. I think it's time to, maybe do the same thing here soon. I think, like I said, I would like to get Kent on the podcast, and Mike from OKC Soda is wanting to stop by as well. They're getting into not only just still local craft soda, but they're starting to develop their own medical marijuana sodas as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to get some of our sponsors back on and to get some stories back on. Nicholas Rice, the director and actor from Dallas, who also lives in Norman, is wanting to get back on the episodes and shows, and he's got a movie coming out called Beyond Sight with Kevin Sorbo. So I think it's going to be interesting to get them back on eventually. So we have all these things that we're going to be grinding up soon. So Jay, I hope you're in it. I hope you enjoyed.
You know what I'd like to accomplish?
What's that?
Kevin Smith's a big press war. Can we get him?
Can we?
Man.
Can we get Kevin Smith to come on the show and talk about something?
Can always try.
Just turn him loose with the microphone.
The worst thing he can say is no if we can just get a hold of him.
I think Twitter, or it's called X now, would probably be the best way to get a hold of him. Whoever has an X account, go through the Cine-Men and be like, hey, man, I have this podcast. Wonder if you want to come on and talk to me and my friends about movies. We're in a small town in Oklahoma. He's a big guy.
Hey, we can just tell him, hey, we're just nerds and movie lovers like you are.
Yeah, speaking of Kevin Smith, next month we're talking about Clerks, and I cannot wait for that.
Clerks
37.
Edward loves the number 37.
Man.
In a row?
That'll be a first-time watch for you, right? Clerks next month?
It will, yes.
Was that 37 cartons of eggs that you had to go through to find the right carton of eggs?
No, it's 37 dicks that she sucked while walking the parking lot.
So not only are we going to be talking Clerks next month, but we're going to be talking all about the holdovers. March the 3rd, March the 10th, we're talking our top 5 plus 5 of 2023. We're also giving out some awards, our favorite actor, actress, favorite comedy, horror movie, and then our top 10 list of the year. March 17th, I believe, is Patch Adams.
Mm-hmm.
And then March 24th is Clerks. And then March 31st, we're going to end it with Friday on a Sunday. So,
ooh,
and then
I have a lot for Friday.
Next week, though, it's the girthiness of all girthy.
Huh?
It's the 3-hour and 27-minute movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen the time and I was like, holy shit, man. This is a long movie.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone. Next week, we're talking Killers of the Flower Moon. For all of you watching and listening out in podcast land, you can watch this movie on Apple TV. For you three, it's on the Vudu if you guys need to check it out. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be my second time seeing it. I saw it in the theater back in October. So I'm kind of interested to see how this rewatch goes. I'm a little nervous because I know with lengthy movies, you love it at first and then you may not love it the second time. But hopefully the girth doesn't hurt too much.
Yeah, it's that width. You got to get it.
Are you guys, Zach, are you excited to revisit it, or is this going to be your first time since the movie theaters?
Yeah, it'll be the first time. I'm like you, 3.5 hours. Yeah, that's my only gripe. That's my only worry about it. So
Ed, this is your first time, right?
Yep.
It's my first. I've seen the first 30 minutes of it, so I'm at least 30 minutes into it, and so far not bad. Not to spoil next week's episode, but not bad so far. It's a Scorsese.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true.
I'm more interested in seeing what Zach thinks about Clerks. Since it's a black and white movie and it's 30 years old this year.
And it's racy as hell on a lot of things.
But it's in and around. It's only like 85 minutes, right?
It's hour and 32 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. It's talked about a lot, and it's just like, okay, all right.
But you know what? Me and Edward work at a convenience store, so maybe we can have a lot to relate to this movie.
From the multiple times I've seen it, we do.
So I'm gonna laugh if you guys are so excited about it, then you guys rewatch it like this is shitty. So.
Oh no, I've seen it at least a dozen
37 times.
No, not 37 yet. I'll get there one day.
And Zach will finally understand what 37 means.
And then we'll small spoiler alert. Sunday, April 7th, we open up April with The Iron Claw. So should be a fun segue into the spring season. Other than that, guys, I think it's going to do it for us this week. Is there anything anybody would like to put the final nail in the coffin on the creator before we get out of here?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all right. It's all right.
So it's from the creator onto the girthy Killers of the Flower Moon. That's what we'll talk about next week, right here on another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Have a good week, guys. That's it. That's good.